Hey guys, today I'm going to tell you about a terrifying experience my group of friends and I had over Memorial Day weekend last year. We rented a lake house in a remote part of North Carolina, and what happened next really haunts us to this day. My group consisted of Jamie, Crystal, Rich, Adam, and I. We decided to rent a lake house for a weekend away from the city. I was the one who found this house on Airbnb, and what impressed me the most was the large terrace with a hot tub overlooking the lake. Besides, there was a fire pit right next to the water with many Adirondack chairs around, perfect for a relaxing evening. We prepared carefully for this trip, from buying food, drinks to outdoor games. We planned every detail to have a really fun weekend. We were all excited and looking forward to relaxing. When we arrived, our Airbnb host told us that there was a key hidden behind the mailbox that opened the front gate. The driveway was made of gravel and dirt, cutting through a small gap in the woods and leading up to a house. Adam had parked right next to the front yard. The terrace wrapped around the entire house, creating a very special space. After we finished unpacking, everyone cracked open beers and started partying. We played beer pong, cornhole, BBQ'd, and played loud music for hours. We were pretty loud, thinking that no one lived nearby to complain. As it started to get dark and we sat around the fire pit, a voice suddenly rang out from the edge of the woods, startling us all. It was a middle-aged woman with short hair. She started yelling at us to keep the music down. One of the girls asked if she lived nearby and if she heard the music, but she didn't answer and just kept yelling. Then she walked into the woods, completely disappearing into the darkness. We felt very strange, but then continued partying and forgot about it. After a while, when a song ended and it was quiet again, we heard a voice calling for help from the middle of the lake. We stood up and called out, "Who's out there? Is anyone in the water?" The voice replied, "Yes, help!" Adam and I quickly took the kayaks and paddled out to the middle of the lake to save the person. But no matter how far we paddled into the lake, the voice seemed to get farther and farther away. After about 10 minutes of paddling, all we could see was the light from the house and darkness in all directions. Suddenly, we heard horrible screams from the house, like someone was in real danger. We quickly rowed back to shore and ran into the house, but there was no one there. Our friends had mysteriously disappeared. We tried calling and texting, but there was no signal. With no other choice, we drove to find help. We found a nearby house with the lights on and decided to knock on the door. But when we looked through the window, we saw the woman from before standing there staring out with an angry look. We were so scared that we left in a hurry. A while later, Rich called me, saying that two masked men with axes were coming from the woods and that our friends had run away. We tried to look for them but couldn't find them. Eventually, the police came and helped us find our friends, but no one could explain what had happened. We quickly left and never looked back. We returned home and tried to forget the horror, but it still haunts us to this day. Crystal started having nightmares and had to see a therapist. Jamie became very scared and didn't dare go anywhere far anymore. Adam and I also feel uneasy when thinking about that weekend. We decided never to rent a house in a remote area again, and always check the surrounding area thoroughly before going. The experience completely changed the way we look at relaxing trips, and it will always be a scary memory that we will never forget. Hey guys, today I'm going to share a scary story that my friends and I experienced over Memorial Day weekend, 2021. We had a boating party to enjoy the holiday, but what happened next was something we'll never forget. Over Memorial Day weekend 2021, my best friends Tony, Mikey, and Jacob and I decided to go to a boating party in the bay. Jacob had a big boat that he got permission to use from his dad, and we were excited about the trip. We set off from Jacob's house and headed out to the bay to meet up with the other friends on the boat. The party was wild, with people jumping from boat to boat and drinking. Jacob, the boatman, had also had quite a few drinks, and we didn't realize until he was too drunk to drive the boat home. We had to wait until Jacob sobered up and was able to drive the boat back. On the way back, we noticed another boat following us. Jacob started to get nervous, thinking it might be the Bay Police, and he might get a ticket for drunk driving. We kept a steady pace and tried not to attract attention. When we got to the canal, the other boat was still following us. Jacob was really nervous, but we tried to stay calm. When we got to Jacob's house and parked the boat, the other boat passed by and we saw three men standing on the boat staring at us with menacing eyes. Jacob didn't recognize any of them and started to suspect their intentions. We went inside and thought everything was over. But then I woke up in the middle of the night and found myself face to face with an intruder. He threatened me and asked to be taken to Jacob's room. When I got to the room, I noticed there was another one. They made Jacob call his dad to get the combination to the safe and stole all the cash, jewelry, and important documents before running away. We couldn't identify the men, and we believed that they had followed us from the boat to find out where Jacob lived. That experience left a deep fear in my group and me. The next day, we decided to report to the police and tell them the whole story. The police came to the scene and took statements from all of us. They began to investigate and hunt for the men who attacked us. During the investigation, we lived in fear and tension. Every time there was a strange noise, we were startled and worried that the men would come back. A week later, the police announced that they had arrested one of the attackers. He gave the names of the other two accomplices, and they were arrested shortly after. We felt relieved to know that the men had been arrested, but the fear and trauma remained. That terrifying experience changed our lives forever. Jacob decided to sell the boat and never want to participate in boat parties again. Tony and Mikey also became more careful in choosing places to hang out and always check carefully before participating. As for me, every time I think about that night, I still feel scared and shiver. I cannot forget the threatening eyes of the attackers and the feeling of helplessness when facing them. I learned a valuable lesson about safety and caution in life. We decided to always be vigilant and never let ourselves fall into such a dangerous situation again.